Call the meeting of the Competitive Edge Charter Academy to order and ask you all to please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Ready to begin?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I'd like to note the presence of all of our board members and ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Our next item is a highlight, which I'm already afraid of because when we turned around to do the Pledge of Allegiance, I saw those charts back. I didn't keep it up, so I don't know what's going to happen here. But I see some friendly faces out there. It's fun to see everyone. So who's going to start this? You, Mr. Mead? Okay.
Good evening, Board President Ingram, members of the board, Superintendent Queens, members of cabinet. Thank you for allowing us to be here this evening. We're so excited to have the opportunity to have students back and presenting what's going on at Competitive Edge Charter Academy. When you talk about International Baccalaureate program, there's a lot of different components. When we talk about instruction in the classroom, engaging students, we talk about inquiry, teaching, and learning. And we are excited to demonstrate that here tonight. I'd like to introduce Kristen Bernier, our 8th grade math teacher in our MYP Middle Years Program IB coordinator.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. We're going to get us started with an activity, and then the rest of our presentation I think might make a little bit more sense. And so we are going to introduce 5 of our 8th graders. And the 8th graders can go ahead and stand up on the stand right over here. They're just going to introduce themselves, and the activity that we're going to do should only take about 5 minutes, but they are going to state an expectation. You can take it out.
Hi, I'm Isabella Niederhoff, and an expectation is to explain your thinking to your group. And an expectation is to share the marker. Share the marker.
Hi, my name is Gwyneth Benjamin, and an expectation is to be respectful to your peers.
Hi, I'm Mary Begay, and an expectation is to stay on class.
Hello, I'm Noah Levy, and an expectation is to know your board, know who's in your group, and if you get something wrong, don't just rush it and take a step back and try to relearn what you did.
So as soon as they walk in, they have a card with a number. They're going to go to their boards and say that instruction within the first 3 to 5 minutes when you come into the classroom. It's best to get your card. So you all get an UNO card today, and whatever number you get, you're going to join the students at your board, and you're going to get to practice doing a little math today. Don't worry, you have the 8th graders here with you. And they're just going to, in a sense, guide you through an activity, what it would look like. And we'll stop at 5 minutes. Don't worry if you don't get the right answer, or if you don't have an answer. We just want you to participate. Okay, so go to your board. Oh, it's very tanned groups. So I like you found your groups. If you look on the floor, 8th graders, there's a marker and an eraser. You could grab those. Don't make the adults bend over. I'm going to read you your task, and we don't usually time in the classroom, but due to time restrictions, we're going to do it for about 4 to 5 minutes. So this is your task. Consider a collection of pennies with the following constraints. When the pennies are put in groups of 2, there is 1 penny left over. When they are put in groups of 3, 5, and 6, there is also 1 penny left over. But when they are put in groups of 7, there are no pennies left over. How many pennies could there be? So 8th graders, you might want to start reading any of the clues. I'll read it one more time and I'll let you guys go. When the pennies are put in groups of 2, there's 1 penny left over. When they're put in groups of 3, 5, and 6, there is also 1 penny left over. But when they're put in groups of 7, there are no pennies left over. How many pennies could there be?
So yeah, it's gotta be on there, right?
Correct, and that's where the liquor stuff is, where you guys are starting to get it. So that's like spend one.
So 63.
Yeah.
But.
How about the guest check? Could it be 20? Divide 21. So 777. Yeah, that'd be 21.
2 minutes remaining, 2 minutes.
She said you can get 7. So you get 3 groups of 7 of 6 groups. 12. I think of 21 pennies. So maybe that's
Next time you're on.
3 groups of 7. I think she said. Yeah.
It's not.
777.
I do.
Oh, yeah, the star.
You
Okay, that's good.
did get a star.
You got a star?
So is it okay if we just have one person from each group just explain one thing that they found out? So sorry. So whenever we regroup and we start to talk about some of the things that we've learned. So what's one thing you found out from your group?
I found that pattern. Yeah. I found out there's a pattern, like when we launched like 2 and 5 were like all under, and they're like split apart by 3, and so it's 3 and X. So we found out there's something there, but we haven't really found it.
We were trying to find formula for it. We were trying to find the formula for it. So then we figured out that the 7 has to be odd and all the rest would be even numbers. We started out by doing multiples of 7 and multiplying it by the other numbers so that we could, and taking out the even ones so that we knew that it wasn't 5 or 2.
We got in trouble when we started drawing pictures. we didn't get as far as the others. I'll let you kind of explain what-
I love pictures.
I was trying to start with the answer and then back into it. What I was doing. So.
What I'm explaining is that
We started off with the group of 7, and we found out that 0 it would be a multiple of, and it would be 14 because, and then we just times 7 by 2. There's nothing left over from that.
So tell me about the 91 in the circle.
91 is the last group. I'm sorry, it's the number of pennies.
Yay! Yes.
Yeah.
No, that's the first answer.
That's the first answer.
If any of you really want to know the next answer tonight, you go home and you can think about it and if you the next answer. But yes, 91 does work for all of the situations. So I'm not going to go through all of them. Thank you guys. So I did not tell the kids what the problem was. As you can see, they had no idea what I was going to bring. And sometimes it's, they call it non-curricular tasks. Sometimes it's curricular tasks that they're actually working on, but the goal is that they're working and they're thinking and they're as a group. So this one actually came from a YouTube task, and it's a non-curricular task, but it's to get them to start off. That might be a starting point when they start working in groups. And Building Thinking Classrooms is the book that our school's reading, and that's where the vertical, it's called Vertical Non-Permanent Surfaces. And so that's where that comes from. In class, I've done a team picker wheel, and it spins, so you get to push the button, and that's what it looks like underneath. It says group boards. It just kind of randomly puts them in groups. There's nothing by gender or ability level, and other than if you're absent, then you're in races. And so I have 9 boards in my room that they could go to their boards as soon as they come, as soon as they see what groups they're in. And then the vertical non-permanent surfaces allows for mistakes and just allows for them to erase what they're thinking didn't work out, or to leave it and maybe cross it out so someone can see what they're thinking. So I liked how one of the groups, someone said, I think it was board member Ingram said, leave it. We should leave what they have up there so we can see it. And you heard some of their expectations. Those are the expectations for all, none of them are in the same class. Oh, I'm sorry. I have 3 classes of math 8. And so they're in different classes. So some of them have never even worked together. And the teacher's goal is to keep you in the flow. So as you can see that group, they actually had the answer. So then I would ask them, well, there's another answer. Do you think you can find the next answer? And then other groups you give hints to and ask them if they can, could it be even or odd? And we validate the student thinking. Teachers never erase their work. We always try to validate what they're saying and allow for discussions. And then at the end, you check for understanding, and the students can go to their journals and write notes to themselves that they found were valuable, as opposed to me telling them exactly what to write. I can encourage, but they should be writing what they found to be helpful to them. So this is kind of just a quick diagram. We're probably only at about number 6 of implementation at our school for some of our classes. We are not all the way to the bottom yet at 14, but that's going to be our goal this year at our school. And this is Mrs. Olival.
We're gonna trade off. So I'm Jennifer Stahl. I'm the PYP coordinator at our school site for TK through 5th grade. Thank you, Mrs. Bernier and 8th grade students, for showcasing your inquiry math lesson. So I'm going to just give you a quick background on why the inquiry math lesson. So you'll see in the graphic here, we have 2 parts. So we have our self-study questionnaire, and then we also have our IB evaluation feedback, which are leading into our program development plan. So for our IB program, every 5 years, we're evaluated by IB. So we just had our most recent evaluation in April, and I think some of you were there. And so what the self-study does is it gives us an opportunity to reflect on our IB program and how we're doing as a program and the next steps for that. And then after the evaluation, we get feedback from our evaluators via an exit interview and then also through a report. So PYP just had their evaluation in April. We received our report in April. MYP just had their evaluation in 2020, and so we had their report. And so what we did is we took the data from these 2 pieces to create our program development plan. And we had the staff rank the feedback from both of these spots. And they decided number 1, what they wanted to work on was IB training. And the second piece of what they wanted to work on was inquiry-based instruction, which is leading us to our program development plan for this next year, and hence the inquiry-based instruction that we're working on. And so the next couple of slides, you'll just see what we're doing during Friday collaboration time as we're talking through teachers, what inquiry is as a teacher from their perspective, and then what inquiry is from the student perspective. And you should have this slideshow, and then you can take a look. Probably saw a lot of these lessons this evening. And that is it. So I spoke really fast. So Mrs. McLaughlin, this is kind of the why we're doing inquiry, and then Mrs. McLaughlin is going to touch on the how we're going to address it. Thank you. So this is the book, Building Thinking Classrooms, that we've got several teachers at our site reading it. We had several read it last year. We started it, we'll finish it this year. And then we had some more start, and we actually partnered up with Ridgeview, and we had about 20 teachers at our site yesterday doing a book study after school. So that was really exciting. So as she said, IB's pedagogy is inquiry-based instruction. And so that is why we really focus on the inquiry-based instruction. So we're doing the book study, Building Thinking Classrooms. We are bringing in Trevor McKenzie, who's an author and a speaker, and he has he's going to be our focus for our collaboration. He focuses specifically on inquiry-based instruction. And then after we finish Building Thinking Classrooms, we have some book studies we'll be doing with his books. And then all of this kind of leads back to Joe Wohler and the New Cube lessons. And almost all of our teachers at our site now have been trained on mathematical mindset. So that positive math, trying to get kids to really like math, enjoy math, not fear it, all of that. So that is it.
Right, so I just want to say thank you again to the students and the parents for being here tonight. You guys did a great job. Can you just give them a round of applause? That's scary. Scary to be up here doing that with people. Super proud of my leadership team. They're amazing teachers, and they're taking teaching to a new level at our school, and we really appreciate it. But to me, teachers, they're like doctors now. We have to constantly be learning. Our audience has changed drastically, and we need to change with our audience. And so we hope you enjoy the presentation tonight.
Thank you. That's fun.
There are no winners or losers.
We all learned. Okay, the next time we're going to do it is public comment.
Do you have any public comments, please? Okay, so sorry. And now we have our advisory committee report. That's a tough act to follow.
Good evening,
Step it
President.
out tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory.
So much nicer behind my little desk over
I
there.
know.
Good morning, evening, excuse me, President, members of the board, cabinet. So we had our PCAC, our parent council committee come to a meeting last week, the 6th, I think, and we kind of touched base. We had one meeting before that as well, just as kind of the beginning of the new year, kind of get set what's going on. This time we actually went over elections and appointments. We had parent volunteer opportunities offered to the entire student body for the entire class. We received enough volunteers to fill all our positions, so that was a great thing without having actually had to do it for any elections. So we didn't have any access, but we had enough to participate. So that was a great thing that helps on our site. The school board presenter, aka right now B, is still being determined, so we will get that determined here later. So we'll go from there. The first things that we kind of covered this last week was our mission statement. Before leadership, I believe, and before our PCAC meetings, we go over our mission statement. Our mission statement is what we want to drive our students to do, what we want our students to learn. We decided to rearrange it. We didn't change the words at all, but we arranged things priority. We really started putting an emphasis and trying to change that priority to the emphasis on learning, the IB learning practices, especially in career basing, like we just talked about, and also social emotional support, because we know that's still something that is really lacking and needed in the school that we have right now. We talked about date meetings or data meetings, basically reviewing STAR math and STAR reading tests for the students. Developing better interventions for our tier 2 and tier 3 support students that need that help. Our tier 2 support still is going to be an in-class type of a support, where tier 3 is going to be more of an outside class time or separate within the school day. The other item we looked at was developing a reading and math support squad for our tier 1 students. And this is going to be actually comprised of parent volunteers, trained parent volunteers at that. We're going to actually get a group of parent volunteers to help continue our tier 1 to continue their progress that they're going forward. So it's a new leap. We're going to get swag, coffee club for them, so that way they're trained and ready for this. And I believe we're just starting with K through 2nd at this point. Next was kind of the STAR score report roadshow, where before students received their STAR report scores there and took them home, and that was kind of it. Mr. Mead and staff are looking now at bringing those students into that scoring process and actually having them see progress and take ownership in their actual learning. Why they are where they are, where they need to be, and what progress they're making. Kind of just letting them get used to it and know that, hey, this is a standard we're trying to push and why you need to. Lastly, we talked about training and training budgets. We have a 5-year cycle for reviewing all the training opportunities for MYP and PYP. Obviously, we have a big focus on IB principles with right now training inquiries that we just learned, from Speaker Trevor McKenzie, which was mentioned by Ms. Stahl and staff. That was one of the main things they looked at as an opportunity, the inquiry-based learning. The other thing is Ms. Brasher also helped us receive a Cal Hope grant training That Cal Hope grant training is, needs that we learned for social emotional learning for the school. It's a 2-year opportunity in partnership with UC Berkeley, and that was a really cool item that she was able to secure that was funded for that, which is really going to help our school site. That's all I have.
Thank you. All right, our next item on the agenda is a resolution regarding teaching a class that's not listed on the credential. Do I have any comments, questions, or a motion?
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next item is the consent calendar. Any comments, questions, changes? Have a motion?
Motion to approve it.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That's the end of our agenda. Do we have any additional administrative comments? The board members?
Thanks, guys. It was fun. Thanks, Isabella. You're a good teammate. Even though we drew great circles and we didn't.
Same here.
That's very good.
Thank you. It's very nice for you to have the kids come. We appreciate it. Always learn things from you. So we're going to adjourn this meeting and we will restart with the kind of meeting in just a couple of minutes. Call the meeting of the Board of Education, Cuyahoga Valley Joint School District to order and ask everyone to please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Ready?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Note the presence of all of our board members and ask if we have a motion to approve the agenda. So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we have a report out from closed session. In closed session, the Board of Education took action on a motion made by Kathy Coate and seconded by Sharon Bannister, followed by a 5-0 vote to appoint Dustin Howard to the position of Assistant Principal at Yucaipa High School. So welcome, Dustin. Would you like to come up and say a And you can also introduce your family if you would like.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having me and for giving me this opportunity to come and work as an assistant principal at High School. With President Ingram and the rest of the board members, superintendent, I'm very excited. My wife is going to be coming to the district fully this week. We look forward to making this not only our workplace but our home. And we look forward to the opportunities to work with students to do what I think we're all here for, which is to help them increase what they can do and the chances that they have to their education and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you like to introduce your wife?
Absolutely.
We kind of
Hey,
know
leave
her.
that out. My wife here in the fourth row, Julie Howard. Very quickly, wanted to thank my father-in-law and mother-in-law, Don and Jackie Weber, for coming down tonight as well. And if my parents back in Ohio could make the online post, Charlie and Judy Howard back in Northern Ohio.
Great. Thank you very much. Also in closed session, the board took action to dismiss employee number 11196 and immediate clerk effective September 13th, 2022, and directed the superintendent or designee to send notifications to the employee. A roll call vote was as follows. Ayes, excuse me, Member Ingram, Member Bannister, Member Snellings, Member Miller, and Member Coe. There were no noes, no abstentions, and no absences. Okay, the next item on the agenda is business services. So facilities, thank you.
Thank you, President Ingram, members of the board, Mrs. Binks. It's my pleasure to talk a little bit about the summer work, facilities work we did this year. It will not be interactive. I don't have any boards or drawings or hard to follow those students, but that was pretty incredible. So we back in September, this time last year actually, the Board of Education committed, as you may remember, committed some general fund dollars to projects. And so back in September, and some of those projects have come to fruition. And so I just want to share a little bit about those projects and some things we did this summer. So the first one, and I think I see many of the principals here, but we were able to do new playgrounds at 5 of our schools. So many were original playgrounds. And so you can see there, Calamasa, Dunlap, Ridgeview Valley, and Early Childhood Education Center. And so, like I mentioned, back in September, the board committed funding. We had a vendor presentation in November of last year. We invited all the principals to come and hear from multiple vendors about their playground structures and their and what they had to offer. Following that meeting, the principals took the information back to the school sites. And we selected down to one vendor. And that was Innovative Playgrounds with Burke Equipment. So we can go to the next slide. So these are just some of the pictures. All of our new playgrounds have shade structures. We did go with wood chips in all our playgrounds except for early childhood education. And so you can see some of the playground structures there. So we actually, the board committed funding. So in the initial presentation, we were able to add additional pieces to the playground. And so not just the playground structure, but each principal met with Innovative Playgrounds, myself, Dennis Klein, our purchasing and facilities director, and we're able to add some components to the playground. In May, we went out to bid for installation. So R.E. Schultz was the lowest responsive bidder. And so you can see the installation there. We were close to completing by the start of school. we do have a kindergarten playground at Dunlap Elementary School that we are hopeful will be done in the next few weeks, but everything else was installed. Please stop me if there's any questions.
Yeah.
Just
Dr.
answer.
Raymond, we're waiting on the gas company to do some work. That's what's holding us up.
Absolutely. So we did find a main line gas line underneath the kindergarten playground. And so they are going to put that line much deeper. So it's never a safety hazard and those types of things. So
But not yet.
not yet. So right. And so what Dunlap has been doing is actually some of the schools brought some playground equipment to them that were collected from the school sites, as well as allowing those students onto the regular playground under supervision. So Dunlap received grades 1 through 5 playground, and the kindergarten playgrounds on its way. So another thing, if you've been to the multi-purpose room cafeteria, we'll call it /theater at Yucaipa High School, that is also original. So Sarah Gray, who was here last board meeting, Teacher of the Year, has been working with original equipment. And so in September of last year, the board committed some funds to upgrade the sound and lighting for the theater there. And so we completed the lighting project. We went out and purchased the equipment in March of 22, went out to bid for installation in April of this year. And then tonight, you'll see the notice of completion for the lighting. So lighting was first, next will be sound. The board dedicated $200,000 to this project. And so we do have some funds available to work on the sound for the NPR lighting at Yucaipa High School. Next is our tennis courts. Resurfacing in tennis courts is typically performed every 3 to 5 years. It had been a little bit longer than that. And we did have some funding. The board committed funding to resurface the tennis courts. We were able to add, as you can see, a logo to the tennis courts. You will not see a notice of completion yet because we are waiting on the windscreens. And so the windscreens should be there this week. And we'll put up the windscreens around the tennis courts with the logo of Yucaipa High School. And so the tennis program has refinished tennis courts. And we'll look to do that every 3 to 5 years down the road. And then the last just highlight is asphalt. Not that exciting, but necessary. So we completed half the campus at Yucaipa High School this year, including, we started with the highest priority of where the students play basketball next to the gym. We did partial of the parking lot and then up and around the backside. And this year we'll go out to bid for the second half of that project to finish that this summer. So those were our major facility projects that were going on this summer. We're excited to give the opportunity to students to play on playgrounds, have new refreshed tennis courts, and provide some additional lighting to the wonderful theater productions that Mrs. Gray does with her students. So if you have any questions?
You mentioned on a lot of different ones. Did you use, you mentioned the bids, there were different kinds of bids that you used on that. And also, how did you do the extras that the principals wanted?
So there's a process called CECA. It's the California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting. We fall under that district. There's different guidelines. So if a project is $60,000 or less, a construction project, then we can go out with a purchase order. There's no bid required. If it's $60,000 to $200,000 is an informal bid, and anything over $200,000 is a formal bid. And so when we're purchasing equipment, that's not construction projects. So we were able to go to those vendors, get a price quote for the product, not the installation. So the product wouldn't fall under the construction code, but the installation we went out and got public quotes. And so the quote for Burke Innovative Playgrounds was less than the next highest bidder. There was some room in there to add additional equipment and still stay under the second lowest bidder. And so that's where I was able to add additional. And then that whole project did stay under budget for what the board dedicated funds to. We were about $100,000 under budget. And I'm not going to give that back yet. We have a few other things we'd like to look at. For example, there's a playground at Dunlap Elementary School, not just kindergarten playground, but playground on the side that we'd like to look at. So that's good to have.
So when you do the purchase of the equipment, was there a maximum limit you could do under that? Or was that different than the one with the up to 200,000?
Right, so purchasing has different guidelines. You have to get multiple quotes. And we did that. We had vendors come out and present, do formal presentations, formal quotes, and then we took the lowest there.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, great. Oh, yep.
Thank you. I know Dr. Bremen said that Dunlap had the kindergarten playground that was a little problem, and I wanted to just share with the board that not only did Dr. Bremen and his team try to mitigate the circumstances for the start of school because we really wanted it to be done for our kinders, but I wanted to, Robert Visconti is the gas company lead for our area, and he worked really hard to try to support us as well. So we did everything in our power, but the gas company has the power. So we're still working through that. And then also, Dr. Freeman also said that there were some playground equipment that was given to the kindergartners, but I happened to be there on the day that the Wildwood PTA came down and dropped off. They did a special fundraiser for Dunlap, and it was just really nice to see the camaraderie between the two PTAs. So give a shout out to them.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, the next item on the agenda is the public comment. Public comment. A reminder that items that are not on the agenda are 3-minute limits. So I would call, it will be Jay John, followed by Lauren Hernandez. Jay.
Good evening. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good. I wanted to find out specifically what the proper protocol is for a parent or a grandparent to be able to go on campus either while school is in session or when school is not in session, specifically to the library. And I have called the office twice. I have been in twice, and I've never gotten a response to that. So I'd like to find out what I need to do as a concerned parent, grandparent, what to do. So that's my first thing, and let me explain to you why I have this question. There's a thing called educational obscenity exemption, sorry. And this bill was passed in the 70s and sort of lost in the shuffle back then. But there are a number of books that I would like to see. I love our little Yucaipa, but I am afraid that I have stayed in the background too long. And I hope that the school board is really looking at every book that hits the libraries, monitoring what is there. I would love to have a list of all the books in the libraries and making sure that we are not taking care of our most precious resource, which is our children. And I don't think this happens purposely. I don't think any of you would allow this to happen, but I'm afraid it might be happening. There are over 40 states. There's a new book out now. It's called This Book is Gay. And I'm not going to tell you what's in the book or the graphics that are in it. There's another one called The Pool Boy that is in the public library here in Yucaipa. Look it up. This is my mission. This is my passion. And I would like to find out how I can either get a list of all the books that are in the libraries, especially the K through middle school, K through 8. Some of the things that are being shown, adults don't have the ability to look at it as much as, let alone children, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. So my request is there a way I can either go into the libraries and I can spend an hour or two looking personally at those books, or can someone at the school district office give me a list of all the books that are in our schools' libraries. With that, I thank you very much.
Thank you, and we'll have someone contact you afterwards.
Thank
you. Okay, the next person on the agenda is Lauren Hernandez. And Lauren, you're followed by Janine Peace.
Board and cabinet members. I'm here again to discuss the issue that's happening at the high school and middle school bathrooms. I still don't understand how students who are children, remember they have to be 25 and older to smoke or buy products, are being allowed to continue this on campus. There is an ed code, and let me find it real fast here. My favorites. Ed code 48901. No elementary or secondary school shall permit its students to smoke or use tobacco or nicotine products while the students are on campus. Attending school activities are under supervision and under control of school districts. It's happening. I know you guys are going to need to stop it. There has to be a plan in place because this is unhealthy and most importantly, it's illegal. In June, the Civil Review Board did hold a town meeting that had a lot of the first responders here. And the SRO, when I asked him specifically, what are you going to do about it? He goes, well, there's really not much we could do. It's more like maybe some word infraction. There's no go. Kids have to be 21 to be able to buy these products and smoke it. They should not be allowed to do it on school. Kids are afraid to still go in the bathroom. It's happening at the middle schools and the high schools, and it has got to stop. Buildings A and D, I guess, are the worst stuff. Also, I did see on your personnel reports that you guys have hired some new campus monitors, so I'm really happy to see that. I hope that will help with these issues. But I would like to know how many positions do we have at both middle schools and high schools for campus monitors? How many are still vacant? And I know it's hard to get employees, but what's the plan to try and get more of them in there? If nothing else, as we are able to get those filled, I think it'll be easier to monitor. But if we're supposed to be watching the 6 to 8 to 10 kids in the bathroom at a time, I don't see why someone isn't near there, and knowing how many are in there, you could smell it. We have kids that are smoking major, strong pot. We have kids that are using things that are laced with drugs, and it's wrong. I'm appalled that we haven't stopped this. I'll tell you, if it was my kid, it would be stopped. I know we don't have that control, but we as a school district, as a community have got to stop this. It's just, to me, it's almost endangering our children. You guys, as a board, as a district, as teachers, as administrators, have just got to stop this. So I'd like the response to know what the plan is. Any parent involvement, I'm there. So we need to get this stopped.
Thank you, Laura. Okay, Janine Peace, followed by Eric Stelter.
Good evening. Good evening, board members and superintendent James and the assistant supers. I am wanted to bring up to you, and I know you guys are all aware of the display of the equality bill and flag at Parkview Middle School. We have concerned parents and the Civil Review Board have an issue with this display. For one is the subliminal message behind the meaning of this flag. I understand personal items can be displayed in classrooms, personal beliefs, etc. But when it comes to controversial issues, there needs to be a line drawn. Please understand the flag says Black Lives Matter. Yes, they do. Yet all lives matter. This could also look like discrimination against all other races, don't you think? We're not here to infringe on anybody's rights, but we cannot allow teachers to use the classroom as a means to express their personal political ideologies. I also want to bring up to you Ed Code 51513. This has to do with test questions about personal beliefs or practices. And I know the end of last year, I brought up the survey questions. And it says here, no test, questionnaire, survey, or examination containing any questions about the pupils' personal beliefs or practices in sex, family life, morality, and religion, or any questions about the pupils' parents or guardians' beliefs and practices in sex, family life, morality, and religion shall be administered to any pupil in kindergarten or grades 1 through 12, inclusive unless the parent or guardian of the pupil is notified in writing that this test, questionnaire, survey, or examination is to be administered and the parent or guardian of the pupil gives written permission for the pupil to take this test, questionnaire, survey, or examination. I just wanted to make you guys aware of that. I mean, I know you might know, but I think it's important with the surveys that have been going around. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Eric Stelter.
Good evening, board, staff, parents. My name is Eric Stelter. I'm with the Civil Review Board, and I just wanted to bring to you tonight one of the major concerns the Civil Review Board is hearing from the parents of the Ukiah Mesa Joint Unified School District, and that is that given the obvious fact that our children have been not denied a proper education over the last couple of years, the parents in this district would like to know what your current documented plans are to bring the students in this district up to speed in their learning, and how do you intend to include the parents in these of these students, I apologize, to assist in this process. That's it. Thank you in advance for providing a written response. Appreciate it.
All right. The next item on the agenda is student board member report. Noah, welcome tonight.
Thank you. Okay, so just to start off going down the list, we have sports, boys water polo, girls golf, girls volleyball, and girls tennis are all generally continuing and really starting to get going. Football is continuing their season, as well as basketball tryouts are occurring today. We had our homecoming week just recently. Our bonfire went well, even through the complications that we were presented with. The homecoming game went well. We won even through the rain struggles. And we had our homecoming dance at the Ukiah Performing Arts Center. Luckily, it didn't rain there. That went well. I've heard a lot of good feedback from that from students. The dress code committee has met with the principal, and they have developed a revised system, so to speak, for the dress code. The bathroom policy continues to obviously be a topic. I personally am not in the bathrooms often. However, from people that I know, they've spoken well about it, and it has been being monitored. We have our first club rush coming up that we're planning. We're planning for the rallies throughout the year. So sports rallies going into like winter, summer, and fall. We're starting to get that like planned out and ready. We have college visits at Ukiah High School occurring currently. So colleges are coming down to like present to students their admission process and how students can go about applying to their college. And tomorrow we have an all academy social event where all the academies of law, public safety, health, medical sciences, and engineering can all come together, share a bit of ice cream, and really promote social connection between all the academies. And that's about it so far.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Great. Okay, the next item on our agenda is our CRIOP report. And Mr.
Yeah,
Summers?
we have a meeting tomorrow, actually, but if you don't mind, I'd like to, Callie, I hope I'm not stealing your thunder a little bit by introducing the new program manager from CRIOP, or am I?
No, go ahead.
Well, and I happen to know Scott. He was a student of mine at the University of Redlands, and I'm really happy to hear that Scott Rain has been appointed the program manager over the Ukiah schools for the ROP. And Scott, if you wouldn't mind just standing, and really appreciate the fact that you got that job, and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. You guys have a house, yes. Nice to meet you.
That's it.
Thank you. All right, our next item on the agenda is the discussion action item. The first one is our business services, unaudited actuals. Is that a report or just an action item? Oh. Okay, do I have a motion for that?
I'll move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next item is the GAN appropriations limit. Any comments, questions on that one, explanation?
Sure. It's a little confusing, but when Prop 98 was passed, 40% of, roughly 48, 38 point something, 40% of the state budget was allocated towards schools. And so, but also Prop 111 was passed in 1990, and that brought in the GAN limit. And the GAN was the name of the gentleman who put forward the bill. And basically, if the state exceeds spending over a certain amount, if the revenue comes in, then they only have two options. One is to provide additional funding to K-12 to community colleges, or give money back to the taxpayers. And so what we're saying here is that even though the astronomical increase of the state budget, there was programs that were set aside, so the GAN limit did not go into effect this year. And so there's some things they can do at the state level around if there's excess dollars, putting it towards infrastructure projects, for example. So if there's extra money, instead of reaching that GAN limit, they can put more money towards infrastructure projects. And so though it was close this year, we have not been close in many, many years. We did not exceed the GAN limit at the state level. It's not our decision, their decision, but we have to report it along with it on our actions.
Infrastructure projects for us?
No, infrastructure projects for the state.
Okay.
Yeah, so that extra money can go to certain projects, and therefore they don't go above the GAN limit and have to give refunds to taxpayers or give more to K-12 schools.
Comments, questions, motion?
Move approval.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next item is our second review of the grades. Any comments or questions on that?
I'll move approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the next item is the second review for high school graduation requirements. Comments, questions, motion?
So moved.
Moved as
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Consent calendar, any changes to the consent calendar? Changes from the board? Motion to approve?
Move approval.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the next item on our agenda is information section. It's the first review of revised board bylaw. Does anybody have any comments on that one? If not, I have a public speaker on that, Mr. Burton.
Evening, everyone. So I'm speaking on agenda item 10.01 tonight, and it's more for the community and a little bit for the board. So this is a bylaw that the board has, and this is the rules of the board. So I want everybody to kind of understand the rules of the board in their writing. So here we go. The governing board has been elected by the community to provide leadership and oversight of the district. The board shall ensure that the district is responsive to the values, beliefs, and priorities of the community. Establishing an effective and efficient operational structure for the district by setting policies, adopting policies, providing safe and adequate facilities. Ensuring the accountability to the public for the performance of district schools. Providing community leadership and advocacy on behalf of the students' educational program and public education in order to build support within the local community. It is your job to provide oversight and ensure that district is responsible to the values, beliefs, and priorities of the community. At the last board meeting, several questions were raised. You can find those questions in the minutes. None. And which of those follow-up was requested? Zero follow-up to the community. You may believe that we are here to be combative, and that is simply not the case. We are here to hold you accountable to the community you took an oath to serve. The board has failed to uphold their role, which made the district fail. Clearly, oversight and responsiveness, as we've heard tonight, are lacking in this process. Have you ever thought of holding a meeting within the community of your trustee area to hear their concerns and provide leadership as an elected official? I believe this is the true way to serve your trustee area. If not, how do you engage with your community members to determine their concerns or their stance on what you vote on? And in closing, I would like to say thank you to the employee who was terminated tonight. That person did not compromise their moral values and integrity for a paycheck.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the second review of board policy 5121 regarding grades and evaluation achievement. Oops, sorry, wrong part. 10.02. First review of your board revised board bylaw 9010 regarding public statements. Any comments or questions? No. And then educational services received the new AR regarding the high school graduation requirements. Comments, questions? And then the revised board policy first review regarding the charter school oversight. Comments or questions? Okay, we will move on to administrative comments.
Thank you, President Ingram. Also, it's nice to know that you've known Scott Rain for quite some time. I wanted to thank Tracy Zerpoli, the superintendent of Cry-Route, so that our members that attend those meetings could share. Dr. Anderson and I had the opportunity to participate in the interview process, and that was really helpful for us, so we appreciate that. Also, I wanted to share that we have now concluded all of our back to school nights. They were very well attended. Thank you to the board for attending them. I know the teachers really appreciated seeing everyone, and we continue our site visits on Mondays, and we've had all of you come out and get to walk campuses with us, and doing 2-a-days now, so tennis shoes are okay. And that's been a very, very nice opportunity to not only see our students, but our work with our teachers and our classified staff on things that they see, and we get to hear the feedback from them. And so that's been very helpful. Dr. Anderson has also been working with many groups of teachers on assignment, and they're working toward what the process will be as we go into this year and working on the curriculum. So I wanted to thank her for that. Also, I wanted to mention to our public, we will get answers back to you. Sometimes on a board agenda week and a holiday week, holidays are not our friend because they take away a work day, but we will get back to everyone. And it will be probably one of the 4 of us, but we will do that in the most timely manner that we can.
Thank you. Any other comments down that way? Comments from our end of the board? No, nothing. Just member Coat.
I just glad I had an opportunity to see some of the campuses and go to the back to school nights. I did enjoy some of the football games. That was pretty fun to see the court. And it was actually kind of cool to stand out in the rain after such an incredibly hot. So it was great to see them.
Thank you. Member Miller.
Yeah, it was wonderful to go to the back to school nights. It was great to see all the smiling faces. And I think I had a lot of positive feedback. Everybody's feeling like it's a good kind of reboot and start to the year. So I'm happy to see that. Thanks, Noah.
I want to thank Eric and your team. I have occasion to go by the elementary schools and to see those kids on those new playground apparatuses having the time of their lives. It really brings it home. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So thanks for making sure that happened on our campuses. The kids are enjoying them.
Yeah, I also went to all the back to school nights, and wearing tennis shoes is important. And I have also been able to do walkthroughs on the campus. I walked through the high school, got to go into some classrooms. This is appropriate to CECA, but the elementary schools. I love the fact we've got kindergartners and they're being taught how to operate in a classroom. And at CECA, they had the kindergarten Olympics, because there are some of those kids that sitting in a classroom for hours and hours is just too much. So they have a system of giving a little bit of a break and come out and do a little run around, run a couple of relays, and then go back and start their learning, which I thought was pretty amazing. All in all, we're off to a great start.
I also enjoyed the back to school nights. I will say that the night at the high school was the night of the rolling blackouts. And so there was air conditioning off in a lot of the rooms. And I think we hit it at Parkview also. I think we hit that.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, those really hot days, we got stuck with that again this year. That happened, if you'll remember, last year, I think it was at one of the schools. And then just one other final comment. Because of some of the things that have been brought up at the meetings, I'd asked for some information about the vendors that we do use in our school district. And so I looked at a list that was from last year, but just roughly going through it, I counted nearly 50 vendors that I recognized as YCJUSD vendors that were in it. And those some of the names that just popped out that I recognize being a longtime person here: Best Lumber, Bob Walker Signs, Dinosaur Tires, Turner's Carpets. We used all of those people. And in fact, we used two of them, which one of them I believe Mr. Burton actually works for, and I don't know if it's Pro Pipe or Pro Craft, but we've used those also to significant amounts. And I just think it's important for everyone to know that we do not only use YCJUSD, Redlands, Beaumont vendors, and these were just YCJUSD vendors listed, with the exception of one of the either ProCraft or ProPipe is a Redlands vendor, I think. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I think it's important that we try to use the vendors that are most appropriate for what we're purchasing. So if we do have to adjourn to closed session again. So thank you. We are adjourned.